Welcome back to the Power Connector podcast, where we share real conversations with women who are building, growing and leading in business. Today, I'm joined by Kirstee Copley, thank you for joining me, co-founder of Goop Guys, an innovative Australian company that's been protecting homes and building sites for more than 25 years. That's a long time. With 3 decades in the industry, Kirstee has seen firsthand the challenges builders face on site and turned those insights into a practical solution that now protects over 100,000 homes a year. From starting out in builders' cleaning business to persevering through product trials, costly setbacks, and eventually developing a franchise system that now stretches across Australia and overseas, Kirstee's story is one of resilience, creativity, and vision. But more than the business success, what stands out is the way she connects with her franchisees, her team, her family, and the building industry at large. In today's conversation, we'll explore her business journey, the lessons she's learned as a woman in a traditionally male-dominated industry, and how she sustains herself through daily rituals and wellbeing practices that allow her to show up as her best self. So thanks for joining me, Kirstee. When I started this podcast, was planning to start the podcast, you had just sort of started being our customer and working it's alongside Evan and Swish, and I was like, straight up, I have to have Kirstee, because the story that was coming out was like, 25 years is huge. Like, to be in business, there's not many small family product innovative businesses in Australia that are at 25 years. So I think that's just huge. And I just thought you're definitely one of the first ones I needed to come on.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I guess my first question is, you've been in the industry for 3 decades. First up, do you hate hearing how long you've been in the industry?
I know when you say 25 years and 30 years, and I go, oh God, I'm old. I'm really old.
I know. We always talk about our experience when I say over 20 years in print, and I'm like, oh, do I really have to say that?
Yes, it does. You go, okay, so that's what all that grey hair's about. Yeah.
So what first drew you to being in the building and construction industry?
Look, I think originally my husband, he started out as a chippy back in the very early days and decided that he didn't really like that so much. And so he moved over to timber and hardware. He was a sales rep for companies like Melco Timber and Hardware, BBC Hardware, before Bunnings brought them out, those kind of guys. And while he was there, I was working just at a fruit and veg shop, and one of his builders lost his cleaner that should do the builder's cleans. And so he came in and said to me one day, look, do you want to, do some cleaning for me, just make a little bit of extra cash? The kids were really young back then. We had a mortgage, wasn't a lot of cash floating around. So I said, yeah, okay, I can do it on weekends and that sort of thing. And then, the business grew from then. There was more and more, builders kind of going, oh, can you clean my house? Can you clean my house? And so that's how I kind of fell into the building industry, I guess. Yeah.
So your company back then was called Dustbusters, and we attended your 25-year birthday celebration, and the owners of that you sold it to was there, and that I think that's awesome that you're still in contact with them. So how, in the early days of Dustbusters, can you take us back to that and how the problem of damaged surfaces led you and Shane to Goop Guys?
So look, it was an ongoing thing. You'd get to, I don't know if you've been on construction sites much, but you get to the end of the project, all the tradies have been in, they've finished, and some of them just don't care quite so much about the mess they leave behind. So, things like bench tops, floors, bathtubs, windows externally with, mortar and stuff like that, there would be a lot of debris on them that you would have to clean off. Some of the, especially when you're talking silicone and render and stuff, it sticks really, really well to surfaces. And so you have to use blades and things like that to get it off. And then that's when the damage comes in. So it's not necessarily the debris that's on the surface, it's trying to get it off is where that damage is coming in. particularly on windows. So our cleaners were there with their blades, and even though they're using, detergents and stuff to make it slippery, if there's sand particles and things like that, it's still damaging the glass. So that's where we saw it the most. Bathtubs were just like great big rubbish pits. Building sites, throw all their rubbish in the bathtub. So there would often be damage to those. Shane was like, there's got to be a better way to do this. There's got to be something else that can protect these surfaces.
So I've heard your story, and it comes out that obviously the product trials weren't always smooth, and you had setbacks. Yeah. So I guess the question is, what kept you going after setbacks, like an $80,000 fail that we hear about?
Look, we're talking 30 years ago when I was like 5. No, I was in my early 20s. We had 2 young children. We had the other business, which thankfully was a godsend at the time because that helped pay the bills. So when Shane, decided that he was going to go off and formulate this product, it didn't happen overnight. It took probably 12 months to get the formula right, which actually wasn't right. But he went out with a lot of his builder friends who said, yeah, come and protect all my surfaces. And then, that product worked really well for a few weeks. And then after that, it bonded extraordinarily well to surfaces and wouldn't come off. So in those early stages, that cost us about $80,000 in replacement and removal. Thankfully, some of those builders, because they were friends, they forgave us and used us again. But it was back to the drawing board with the formula. I probably at that point would have given up if had it have just been me. I had 2 young children, the money, not just the money, but the stress. And it was like, maybe we should just go back to, 9 to 5, working for someone else. Let's, this is scary. But Shane's very persistent. And, so no, he was like, no, we're going to get this and give me another go. And yeah.
That's awesome that you kept going and the story continued. But I do get it when you've got young kids and you're trying to raise a family. Yeah. It gets hard. But you guys now protect over 100,000 homes a year. What do you think were the key turning points that allowed your business to grow to that scale?
Again, persistence. We are both quite stubborn, so when we decide that we're going to do something, we go all in. But my husband also has a gift for the gab. I mean, he can talk to anybody, and he was quite passionate, and still is quite passionate about the product and the industry. And so those initial days when he was just out talking to people and doing the sales side of the business, I guess, that really
so I guess you say it comes down to communication and his ability to connect. So that is
and build those relationships. I mean, we still have clients that we've been dealing with for 25 years. So Clarendon Homes, particularly, have been using Goop for 20 years now. So some of those guys, they've been around right from the beginning. Yeah.
So that sort of relationship with it doesn't just come down to a product. It has to come down to that connection and communication that you guys have had with them.
Yeah. And Shane does that extraordinarily well.
I'm sure you do as well.
I try.
So what led you to move from licensing to a franchise model, and how has franchising helped shape your company's success?
Okay. So originally it was always just going to be, like a mum and dad kind of business, just on the Sunshine Coast, where we're from. Supporting the kids basically and paying off our mortgage. But as we sort of got out there in the market, we were getting word of mouth referrals to other builders. So then it was Brisbane, and then it was Gold Coast, and then it was Sydney and Melbourne, and it just got too difficult to do just the 2 of us. So we tried licensing for a few years. With licensing, as you probably know, with a franchise, you don't have quite as much control over your brand and the way things are done. And we got to that point where we were then wanting to protect our brand, more than anything. So we decided to franchise. We started doing that in 2006. That look, that was an expensive and long, that took probably 9 months, to get that underway. And some of our licensees came over as franchisees. So that's helped in terms of these guys now have their own business within a business.
Which helps the passion for the product too, rather than just reselling.
That's right, yeah. And they are then responsible for their own exclusive territory. They're responsible for their marketing but we still control the way the brand is presented, the colours that they use, the communication tools, those sorts of things. So.
And I guess there's also that training to make sure the product's used correctly.
That's right.
And when you're in a franchising model, that's probably easier to control than licensing.
That's right, yeah. So when you're licensing, you're basically just distributing product. And so we kind of have that with our retail brand. So we sell that retail to, home renovators, do-it-yourself kind of things. But there's always that, but it won't come off this surface, or it's too thin, or, whereas our Goop guys are trained to apply the Goop, and they know exactly how it goes on, what it will go on, what it won't go on.
Yeah, awesome. I know I heard at your birthday party that you are international as well. And that's just, I think, awesome. Like a small company started on the Sunshine Coast has gone international. How did expanding into the international market come about?
That just happened organically, believe it or not. Our first distributors that joined us are from Singapore. So they were over here on holiday. They come every year to one part of Australia, and they just happened to be on the Gold Coast. Was it 2010, something like that. And they saw Goop on a high-rise building, and because they're in the building industry, they're like, what is this? And we haven't seen this. And anyway, they called and figured out we were only a couple of hours away, so they drove down the next day and met with us. And they've been buying product ever since. So they supplied Marina Bay Sands, with the boat on the top. They did all the Goop on that building in Singapore. Everyone seems to know that building. So, that's an awesome story. That it just, but that's a testament to your product that they saw value just from seeing and investigating it and wanting to take it overseas. What did you learn? Is there anything that you learned in the process of going international that you think is a valuable lesson? Because you always hear that we went international and we had to, that there was more involved. Did you learn anything from that? There is definitely a lot more involved in terms of, and look, I'll just say right now that I have very little to do with that. I employ people to deal with the customs and having the right.
That's good business though, right? If your experience is not in that. To do it right, you find the experience that you need. And so April, she was actually at our event as well. I don't know if you met her, but she's our freight forwarder. She's been doing it. She's been with us for 15 years, so she pretty much started when Singapore started. So she deals with all of that. So it's actually quite an easy process for us. We get the order in, the boys make it in the factory. We ring April and we go, here you go. Here's the documentation. Here's the invoice. Off you go. Yeah. And I think that brings me, I think it's awesome that you still manufacture on the Sunshine Coast in the factory. Your son's in charge of it.
He is, yes.
And so it's like that true Australian success.
So it's all Australian made. We get as much of the ingredients as we can in Australia. There are a couple of things we have to get offshore. So then it's all put together like a big cake, I guess, in the vats, in the factory.
So obviously I myself come from a male-dominated industry, and construction, we all know, is male-dominated. Is there challenges you've faced being a female in your industry? Or
I think in the early days, so we're talking 25, maybe more years ago, then yes, absolutely. And particularly a young girl, like I'm in my early 20s, and they're like, you don't know what you're talking about. You have no idea, you know. And it's like, and you know what? I probably didn't back then. I probably was like, I really don't. But I don't know how to build a house. Yeah. I know the basics of how to, what goes on. But you asked me to build you a house or do plans, well, I got no idea. I have no idea. But I know what you need to do to protect your surfaces, so I can help you with that. But yeah, I think the building industry it's shifting. It's been shifting for years, and I see the older generation like myself, we're starting to, move on and move out. I guess that retiring. So the younger generation is coming through, and they're a lot more accepting of different like gender, nationalities, ideas, all of that sort of stuff. Girls on site, you see girls on site all the time. There's electricians, there's plumbers, there's brickies, plasterers,
So we've made progress, which is obviously always good. Do you feel, obviously, then in your working and seeing it change, that females are bringing at times a different perspective to the industry? Obviously being...
Absolutely. I think, and I say this with love because I'm not, but I think women are more critical thinkers, and they think
problem solvers.
Yeah, and they're more empathetic as well, But again, I think that we all need to work together, and that's my thing. I get, I'm all for women's lib. But I also think that we all need to be able to work together, and they're stronger in this area and we're stronger here. So if we work together, then we're stronger again.
Yeah, definitely. I think the empathy could... I actually recently supported an event where one of the speakers is a male that works in the construction space because of the high rates of suicide in the construction space, and he works with those men. So I definitely see some empathy of women coming into the construction space could help with that type of situation. Absolutely. As well. So obviously I work with my husband, you work with your husband. It's always a challenge, we'll be honest.
Can be.
How do you maintain your voice and leadership style while still keeping that relationship with your husband?
Look, I think in the very early days, I was quite happy to just do the stuff. Whatever needed to be done, I would just do it. It's only sort of more recently that because he's pulling back a little bit from the business, that I've kind of stepped more into that leadership role. And most of the time, we work well together. We are complete opposites in the way we do everything. So
I feel you. But I think it can be good though, because you're covering, as a working team, you are covering.
Yeah, as long as we're working as a team.
Yes.
So there are days where it's like, what's going on here? But I think, we kind of balance each other out in that regard. The way I lead and do things is completely opposite to him, and he gets quite frustrated with me because he goes, mate, you just tell them how it is. And I'm like, we just got to, ease into this. But no, I think that that has been the thing. Communication is critical, I think, when you're working with family, and trying to also... And this I find really hard. You're trying to keep that distance between business and home.
Those boundaries. Yeah.
Because I have been told I work 24/7, and so even when we're doing something in family time afterwards, I'm like, oh, blah blah blah, and it's like, stop. No.
So. It's hard, because it's your passion, and when it's your business, it becomes your life as well. And I keep hearing how I need to have boundaries too. And I work with a coach, and it's like, you need boundaries. I'm like, what are they?
Yeah. What?
I'm getting better, but
it's hard. It's hard. Yeah. It's hard.
So obviously, how do you then handle it? Because obviously you're going through a transition at the moment, handing some of the reins to kids as well.
Yeah, so we've engaged an external leadership coach as well. So both the kids have been in the business, obviously, in and around it, since they were quite young. Our daughter has her own franchise, which is the Mornington Peninsula Territory in Victoria. So she's had that for 10 years now, I think. And so she knows how everything operates from a franchise level.
Yeah.
So that's also good for us as the franchisors too, because sometimes she'll come in and go, "Wah, rah, rah, rah."
It would be different being in the franchise on the field every day. And I say that all the time. There's frustration. It's like they're not working in the centres and they're not dealing with that.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
So that would definitely help.
And then I can then go, and she'll go, "Why have you changed that or done that?" And then I go, "Okay, so step into the franchisor side of things for a minute and look at how things are working here, and this is why." And she'll go, "Oh, yeah, okay." So we're working with her on that now. She's got to kind of step out of that franchisee mindset more into the head office level. And then our son he's pretty much over every aspect of the business. He's done a bit in each area over time, but he now prefers to just focus in the factory making the product. But neither of them have had, I guess, that leadership or management experience, which is where we're kind of trying to get them now. And then
that also takes time, and they have to, I guess, be ready for that.
Yeah,
because you don't develop that unless you're necessarily sometimes conscious that that's what you wanted. Some people are just naturally developing that, they're leaders. Other people need to work on it and be ready for it.
Yeah, so we're sort of working on a 5-year plan with that. So, by 2030, the kids will be running the show. But at the moment, we've created a leadership team. We meet every week, and we'll bring certain things to the table and go, okay, what would you do in this situation, or what do you think we should be doing with this, and we kind of go from there.
It's awesome. I love that family aspect.
And it's good that they're interested, because it was always we'll hand it to the kids, but only if this is what they want.
Our daughter works with us, and we've recently just gone through a similar thing where she was given the opportunity to step more into my type role, and she's happy in production. Yeah, and that's okay.
Yeah,
I used to say in 5 years' time that's where she is and where she's in life, but you have to. There is that fine line between expecting it of them and them wanting it, because you got to want it. Like you guys really wanted it, and that's why you've been successful.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
So your franchise model emphasises, as a lot of franchise models do, lifestyle flexibility. Why was that important to you?
Again, I think when we created the franchise, we were a young family. We had young kids, and I still wanted to be able to go to sports days, be there if they were getting student of the week, all those cute things. And it allowed us that flexibility to be able to do that. And so then I wanted that for other people coming into the business, whether it was because they had a young family, or whether it was because they were looking after elderly parents, or, whatever it is, but to have that flexibility that they can go, okay, I'm not going to work today, or I'm only going to work till lunchtime today, I'm going to start early, not that traditional, 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, I can't get anything else done.
And do you have a way that you support the franchisees getting that work-life balance?
It is interesting to try and do that.
Yeah.
So with some of them, and Sarah works with them on this, she works with them, monthly with these sorts of things. So we've got a few that their businesses are really growing now, but they're still trying to do everything themselves. And so no, there is no work-life balance. I'm tired, I'm doing 12 hours a day. And I go, okay, but in order to do this, and then there's also that struggle with franchise, and I say franchisees, but it's probably all business owners, I think. Is that you're too scared, or not too scared, but hesitant to hire someone else, and then not have enough work for them. So you've got that
constant
gap
juggle
in the middle.
I've nearly hired, and then maybe the next month's not as busy, and you go, well, I don't want to commit. Yeah.
And so that's the only real barrier we have in the terms of that kind of lifestyle time type thing. Because otherwise, the guys that have got it sorted, so our guy in Melbourne, Dave, he's got 4 employees, and one of his guys is now the manager. So when we want to do anything or talk to him, we're ringing Cody and we're going, "Hey Cody, what's this?" And Dave's just doing things behind the scenes. So
Okay. What strategies have you found most effective to build relationships with customers, staff, franchise owners? Do you have your own way of strategies that you've developed, or do you think it just comes natural?
Talking to people in general does not come natural to me. I am that introvert that prefers, not to be sort of in the limelight, and just I won't go to an event and just randomly go and talk to strangers.
Yeah.
I'll talk to them if they come to me, but I won't go there. But no, I think it is. It's communication,
Yeah.
So stepping more into the sales role, which is what I've done in the last 12 months, I have had to initiate conversations and cold call and stuff. And then I think it's that communication after then, talking to people, keeping in contact. We do a lot of, as you can see, we do a lot of promotional products too. So I love, going in and handing out little gifts, and we do charity events, like Henley Plantation, those kind of guys. They do a charity house every year in each state, so we support them with that. They do charity bike rides, all those kind of things.
So it comes back to what I'm always talking about, and that's part of the podcast, is building a connection with people, whether it be like, even with your customers, and, those little gifts, those little because taking the gifts starts a conversation, doesn't it? Like, it's at the end of the day, the gifts are not the important bit. It's that you thought of them to take into the gift and have the conversation.
So one of the guys in Henley in Melbourne, Simon, so we try and get in and see him, a few times a year. And if I go in there and I don't take something new into him, he gets very upset with me. He goes, "Oh, Kirstee's here, what have you got? And I go, "Oh." And he goes, "I've already got one of those." And I go, "Damn."
But it's not the gift, it's the excitement of what has she thought to bring me this time, or, what, he's obviously passionate about the brand too. At the end of the day, if he wasn't passionate about the brand that you've built, he wouldn't want the gift with your branding on it.
Yeah.
So it's that passion that you've built, and it's all those little thoughtful things that you do.
Yeah.
Because and I think you start the conversations. I think I see, because Evan does charity rallies. I can get my words out. You also support an event like the Dunga Rally,
Dunga Derby.
The Dunga Derby. Yeah. Is that important to you to support those events as a?
Yeah. So the Dunga Derby, we support the one on the Sunshine Coast. So Dunga Derby they started in Harvey Bay or Fraser Coast, I believe, and they do have different areas. So my son actually initiated that one. So he's been doing that for a few years now. And I think he just loves getting out of the office for a few days in the car, to be honest.
I swear that's what Evan loves with his as well.
Yeah, off they go and have so much fun. But no, I love the fact that it supports the people of the Sunshine Coast that are having a rough time. And I think that's because we're from the Sunshine Coast and that's where we started, and so it kind of almost feels like you're giving back to the people that gave you that.
Yeah, community building.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And is there anything else like that? So you support different charities that the builders support? And
so a lot of different cancer charities. There's the Mother Kids, those ones. Breast cancer is obviously one that's a little close to home, and homeless. So for years there we were helping a charity on the Sunshine Coast called Helping the Homeless.
Okay.
Because
it's important to give back, I think.
Yeah.
Like you as much as you have success in life, there's people that just don't
have a hard time.
Yeah. So running a business for 25 years takes a lot of energy and resilience, and this is something I'm always working on, because you have these such long days, and like you said, you don't get to turn off.
Yeah.
Have you implemented any daily routines or structures to help you look after health and well-being? Or is that always... I think it's always a work in progress, but
Yes,
any little tips I think that
definitely.
people do?
Look, for me, and this is kind of hit and miss at times, but it's that first thing in the morning, because I'm an early riser. It's that first thing in the morning, I get out and I go for a walk down the beach. I'm so lucky that I live 2 minutes from the beach, that I can just go down there and just. But it's the stillness of that time of day, the quiet, it's just so peaceful, and I think that's when I can kind of regroup and I'm ready for the day. And so I do know that if I don't do that in the morning, by 10 o'clock I'm kind of like, jittery. Like, it's like, ugh. So it seems to calm my mind. But I'm not really good at shutting off or switching off.
And that's probably why you're successful, because you're so passionate about what you're doing. But look, I think at least I talk about just finding that one thing that you know that works for you, and at least you found that. Yeah. I have seen that you're going to the gym.
Yes.
Do you love that?
Look, I in my previous life, in a past life, loved the gym. I would go, 2 or 3 times a day. Obviously, I'm lucky now to get there 3 times a week, but it's also different now. Back in your 20s when you're doing all these, you're doing kickboxing, all these weird and wonderful gym routines, and now it's actually more about flexibility, mobility, bone strength.
Yes.
So, as you age, you talk about age again. Yeah. It's those sorts of things that are more important. So,
Yeah, I've recently given up the gym, and everyone's like, why? But with me, it's finding what I love to do too. Like, that's why I asked, do you love it? Because I was 3 or 4 days a week going at 5 o'clock every morning, and because I was focusing on that bone strength and structure, but I have given it up because it stopped me having the energy to ride my horse. Yeah. So I'm like, I think that's important, is finding what works for you and what you enjoy.
Absolutely.
Evan's gone back, and it's like, and I'm like, no, I'm just going to ride my horse and keep active that way, because I think that does a lot. So
absolutely.
I think it's awesome that you've found a couple of things that work for you. Yeah. And I think that's the message, and why I ask the questions is like, what works for you, and then other people can take that on board. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got to be something that makes you happy. Yeah. It gives you joy. Yeah. Because if it doesn't, it's not sustainable, and you just won't do it. And then you resent the time that you're spending doing it. So
I had to give up for a few weeks, and I'm like, I don't even miss this. Like, after about 6 months of consistency, you should actually love and miss it. Yeah. But I certainly didn't. No. Do you have a go-to practice when you need to reset and find balance?
Funnily enough, I was only talking to someone about this yesterday. Are we talking about that whole frustration when life is just like, oh,
and you just feel like you're about to burn out?
Cool. So my quick fix for that is not screaming into a pillow like some people do, but I'll get in my car, I'll go for a drive, and the music comes really loud, and I just sing. Okay. Yep. I don't know. That just works. But if it's if it's sort of a more long-term thing, then I think that's where I retreat a little bit. I'll kind of pull back from everything, retreat into kind of my own space, and.
But I think that's okay if you if that works for you and you need that. I think that's one thing I've been recognising is like, I'm like you. I am an introvert, and obviously I have to do a lot of networking and events, and I've done a lot of work on setting intentions on how I go into that space because it is work for me. Yeah. But
so it's draining.
I find it so draining, and I thought it was just me being lazy or dramatic, but I've done some work on it, and I can I did from lunch to 11 o'clock on Friday. night for an event, and then Saturday night, and then Sunday I just stayed home all day. And can't remember the last time I actually did that. I'm always out with the horse or something. But it's like I allowed myself to do that because I've learned to recognise that I need that recovery time.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay if you do. So it's good that you recognise that and you allow that to happen. And you don't see it as like, oh, I'm being a recluse. You're saying I just need to retreat and regenerate, because that's what it feels like. Whereas like Evan doesn't need that. So, like, if you're with someone that doesn't need that, you're like, well, why do I need that?
Yeah, you do. And then there's the guilt around that. It's like, oh my gosh, now I'm taking all this time for just me. But no, I think everyone needs to have that time.
You just got to find what works for you.
That's right. Yeah.
So,
and for Evan, it might be a drink. With 10 mates having a chat, whereas I'm like, oh, please, now we're talking.
Yeah, I know, and yeah, it's definitely, I have actually recently seen him get socialed out here, and it took 3 days of, we went to Dreamfest, and he was on stage, and then we went to the beach club party, and after that he went, I'm done, let's go. It took 3 days of that, whereas like
3 minutes I'd be like,
I'd done similar to him, and if it was up to me, I wouldn't even have been at the beach club, but he was just like so different people have different tolerances.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So 25 years, you just celebrated your big birthday, and that was an awesome event. What are you most proud of?
I think the biggest thing for us is that we have created something that has helped so many people, because I think that's what's most important to me. I think is helping people. So we're helping builders, we're helping homeowners, we're helping other people have businesses that can support their families.
So it's not just the products helps, it's the people that can have the business.
Yeah. And so there's this whole sort of army of people, if you will, that we've helped over the years, and I think that's the biggest thing for me. And obviously that we have something that can be passed on to our children, should they choose to take that and carry on with that.
You definitely have a lot to be proud of. So obviously your children are going to step in or are working towards stepping in, and what does that legacy mean to you?
I think just it's
like, as a mother and a businesswoman, like that's a huge legacy to leave, and something you should definitely be excited and proud of.
It's something just for them, especially today. Like, I look at the world today, and I know that our parents probably said the same thing about us, and our grandparents probably said it about them. But I look at it now and I go, gosh, it's getting tough out there, isn't it? It's getting tough for these young people to buy a house or build a house.
It's in Brisbane, it's like 1.2, and you're not getting in the market. It's like
that's tough. So I like the fact that we have something that can be passed to our children and our grandchildren. Like my oldest granddaughter.
I've seen the photos and videos and
little rat bags. Yeah, they're so cute. I'm biased, of course, but they're so cute. But the 7-year-old she already tells me that when I die, she's taken my unit. At the beach, she tells me this all the time. And she goes, "So Granny, when you die, I get the unit, don't I?" I go, "Yes, honey, you can have the unit." And we're going to do this at Goop, and Izzy and I have decided, and then the youngest one she's hell-bent on speaking at my funeral, so she's an extrovert. She tells me that, when you go, Granny, I'll talk at your funeral. Okay, thanks honey.
But that's a legacy that you've definitely built, that you've got, not just your kids, your grandkids are talking about when they're involved in Goop. So you've done really well. Not just you haven't built a business, you built a legacy and a brand that even your grandkids are excited about. Like, that's something that's awesome. That's good. So after 5 years, what's your plans?
It terrifies me, Aleisha. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's just that, so Shane's retiring, semi-retiring next year, he tells me. So he'll be 60. So I'm a little bit behind him. And I mean, I'm 31, right? But no. So I've said I'll do another 5 years. But after that, I have no idea. I'm
you
not...
have 5 years to work it out.
That's right, yeah. It definitely won't be just sitting around. I don't do that well.
You've got a beautiful Airbnb out at Stanthorpe, I hear.
Yes.
So you won't want to spend winter there.
Oh, it's so cold.
I can't go. I couldn't even handle Stanthorpe in September.
I know.
It was like windy and cold.
It is. Yeah, no. The winter months out there are just freezing. But, I say that because I spent a lot of my youth in Darwin, so I think it's freezing here in winter, to be fair. But yeah, so we have that.
If you're lucky, your granddaughter might let you come stay in the unit in summer. In her unit.
Yeah. Cheeky bugger. But yeah, no, I haven't looked that far ahead yet, to be fair.
You're obviously just enjoying the journey, and I think that's important too. Instead of, you've got to have something to work towards, but you've got to enjoy the journey as you go.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think all the different things that I've sort of started doing in the last couple of years is really helping with that too. The people that I'm meeting and these kinds of things, which if you had have asked me to do this 6 months ago, I would have been like, no.
Yeah, the look on your face, you're like...
It's like, no.
So obviously I didn't pre-warn you. I didn't, and I've just thought of it. So obviously you have stepped into a sales role, which is traditionally not you. How, that's huge. And that's speaking from me, attempting the same journey. You've probably, you've always been in sales, but you get comfortable saying, I'm not in sales, I'm just in customer service, I'm behind the scene. But to step out into the front. You're probably a natural at it because you care about the customers. But is that being scary?
Yeah, terrifying. So like you say, we say, I'm not a salesperson. I'm not a salesperson. I don't do that. But yeah, of course, 20 odd years in, we're selling franchises. We're getting customers on board. I'm answering the phones in the office. I'm taking inbound leads. So I've always had that aspect of the sales process, I guess. But never saw myself as a salesperson.
I think it's because we put a negative connotation on what we think a salesperson is.
Yeah.
But then again, you were around 25, 30 years ago. I was around 20, and, the salespeople were different back then. Print salespeople that I worked with.
Okay.
I can tell some horrible stories.
Nice. Even like the car sales.
Yeah. And even, you talk about female or male-dominated industries being taken out to lunch with the salespeople and then telling you to sit there while we go
have a conversation.
While we go watch the strippers out front, and you just sit here. And in my case, I don't even know if you meant to say this on podcast, but I said, no, I can come out and have a drink with you guys because they were more uncomfortable with me being there
than you would be.
So, and if that happened these days, mate, I just cringe at some of the things that happened. I know,
and I won't mention the builder because they are still around today. But 20-something years ago, I went to a subby's Christmas party, and I think I was the only woman in the room other than the strippers.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, 20 odd years ago, I was very uncomfortable in that space. Yeah. But funnily enough, I don't think that happens quite so much anymore.
Yeah, I know my dad years ago, he worked on sites, and that was what they used to get excited. And I think it's probably changed, and from a, it happens, but not like it. And it's good to see that progress because definitely women can bring different ideas to the space.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But no, that did definitely happen back in the day.
Yes.
But getting back to the sales side of things, I'm actually really enjoying it.
Yeah.
I know, which also
because you've taken that negative connotation away.
Yeah. And I've done a lot of work with, as you and Evan have, with Ryan from Swish.
Yeah.
So I think that has really helped too, to kind of put it all into perspective for me.
Well, when you change your view towards that you're communicating and connecting with people, it's what you've probably always done.
Yeah.
You're just
Not
recognizing that you're doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And because I think from my dealings with you, you're just naturally a genuine person, and that itself just sells. You know, like you're not actually, you don't actually have to try and sell if you just connect and genuinely be yourself to people. Yeah, it's just going to flow through.
Thank you.
So, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
It
was actually way less painful than I thought it would be.
Like I said, it's nothing to look at. I just think what's important to me is sharing every day women in business and their story and their journey. Yeah. Because if someone, like, it's tough. It is tough. You have hard days. You have good days, but you have hard days and long days. If someone
and
can
social media only shows the good day.
That's it. And everyone's like killing it.
So great.
And it's just like, and I struggle with, and I do put raw. I think it's changing a little bit.
It is a little bit.
I think people are, more of it out there. And that's what I say is, you know, like if we do it a bit more ourselves, then it just becomes normal because it's not all perfect. No, it's not all. But if someone can listen and just hear about the little things you do, and it can just, someone finds a light bulb moment, that's so important to me. So I do appreciate you stepping out of your comfort zone. Second podcast now.
I know.
I feel like just you might have to start your own soon.
Oh, yeah, well, let's not go that far.
Finding the time, yes, definitely.
Yeah.
You could. How do you think Shane would go on your podcast?
That would be a very interesting conversation. He recently did one with Ryan, actually. Swish. Yeah.
So he's like the podcast king now.
Probably.
All right, so that's it for us, and thank you for joining, and I hope everyone enjoys our listen.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. That's it for today's episode of The Power Connector. Thank you for tuning in. If something landed for you, pass it on. Share this with a friend, tag us on socials, or leave a review. I'd love to hear what connection means to you. And don't miss the episodes where Evan joins me. We'll be sharing simple, creative ways you can use design, print, and signage to connect with your audience and bring your brand to life. Until next time, keep showing up, keep connecting, and keep making your mark through the power of connection.